Hello, and welcome back to Traitors Expert. There it was, the fallout of the previous episode of the traitor on traitor open warfare that we've seen, that was unlike any traitor on traitor warfare we've ever seen before. It was kind of inevitable that it was going to cause backlash on those two individuals, Fiona and Rachel, but it's kind of amazing to see just how one-sided that is so far. So, unfortunately, it's backfired on Fiona and she is now being banished. Oh, it's such a shame. Because she might not be the cleverest player. She might not have done the best strategy. I mean, definitely didn't do the best strategy. Fiona was on no votes at all until this incident. And now she's banished. She's gone from no votes throughout the entire series to banished in one episode. It's an immense backfire on her behalf. So definitely she didn't have the best strategy. If you're going to go for another traitor, you need to be like Harry back in season 2. You need to be absolutely precise. You need to know every little detail that's going to set up a speech that's going to get that traitor out. And it's going to have to be at the round table, and it's going to have no backfire onto you at all. That's not what Fiona did. It was clumsy, it was emotional, it was a spur of the moment decision, and this is the result of that action. But it is amazing to see that Rachel has had no suspicion, or at least no votes on her after that event. Maybe they're all just on her side, or maybe a bit like Harriet, maybe they're biding their time and Rachel will now come under fire next, which does feel very likely. Yeah, amazing scenes. Really sad to see Fiona go. Like I say, she wasn't the best player, but she brought so many twists to the game. She was incredibly entertaining, and I think the show will miss her. She was a brilliant character. Oh, it's such a shame. I was kind of hoping they might just struggle on for a few more episodes. We'd get a few episodes of them fighting each other. Because obviously the episode started with that amazing turret scene where Rachel, I mean, fair play to her. She was given some great one-liners. You know, when they were deciding who to kill, and Stephen or Fiona said, "Oh, we can't." Fiona said, "Oh, you can't kill me." And then Rachel comes out with, "Oh, I wish I could right now." It's just amazing. We've never really seen that kind of just absolute rivalry, at least displayed in public like that. Maybe behind the scenes in like the diary room, actually like fighting each other that directly, that head on, and in public in the castle. It was incredible, and it's such a shame it's already over. We've had the amazing twist of the secret traitor. That's over. We've had the amazing twist, or the amazing fight between Rachel and Fiona, and now that's over as well. Where are we going next? Well, obviously, the ending of the episode gave us a little hint at what we could be going towards now. But also in this reaction, I did kind of promise you yesterday, I do want to talk about my big theory. It's a big, silly theory. I'm not saying I think it's true, and less so I think it's true. But I just want to put it out there. So we'll get onto that in the second half, but in the first half we'll just react to the episode. So we've kind of spoken about who was banished, unfortunately. But as sadly a bit of an afterthought is who was murdered, and that was Reese. That's an interesting pick, isn't it? Choosing Reese to be murdered by the traitors. I would have kept him in. I know people were trying to say, oh, but people were starting to believe that he's a faithful now. Now, he was still, he had the most combined votes of anyone at that point before he left. You keep him in. At some point, people will start almost like overthinking it. And kind of going, oh, well, we thought you were a traitor, now we think you're a faithful. Well, maybe we were right to begin with. Maybe you are a traitor. Let's just get rid of you, just be on the safe side. Especially like in the final, for example, like Now they do the blind reveal of who, where you don't say if you're a traitor or faithful at the end. You would get rid of Reese. He's had so much suspicion throughout the game that you'd think there's no point risking it. There's no point keeping him in. So I would have kept him in. It makes everyone else look more innocent with him there. Yeah, don't really understand that. I don't like this whole thing where traitors sort of go like, oh, let's pick a random choice because it'll really confuse them. It won't confuse them. It'll be just as confusing as any other choice. Yeah. And also, even if they are confused, how does that help you? Yeah, I don't understand it. But yeah, so Reese was eliminated. So when we look at our full cast, we have now sadly lost Reese and Fiona, leaving us with how many players now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 players now remaining. So they're whittling down fast, and we didn't have a murder tonight, so there'll be even more people left over in the next... Well, sorry, that will keep more people in. But, yeah, so when it comes to the total vote count, so these are the people that are still in the game, so Fiona and Reese are now left. Sam is now leading the total votes across the series. Sam has had 9 votes across the series. Like I say, Sam would be my top pick if I was a faithful. Jade is then in second place with 7 votes. Not too surprising. She's been second place quite a lot throughout this series. Yeah, she's had a lot of suspicion. Not really sure why. Interestingly, the whole thing about Amanda and the reveal that Amanda was a police detective, Rachel did that to try and cast suspicion on Sam and Jade. Or did she do it because of that? It's a bit unclear. But one of the benefits of what she did is that there would be more suspicion on Sam and Jade because Amanda was kind of gunning, obviously, well, she was definitely gunning for Jade, and she was also turning her head at Sam in that final vote before she left. So interestingly, Sam and Jade are the 2 highest voted players across the series. So maybe that's working. Maybe that strategy of Rachel's is actually kind of working, and it's building suspicion on those 2. Third place is Stephen. So he's still not scot-free in my opinion. If I was a faithful... Because here's the problem with Stephen, right? Now, Jessie was very rightly going after Stephen. Jessie's been brilliant, by the way. She's entertaining. She's also right about a lot of things. Yeah, I'm really loving her as like a character. Like, she's great on the show. Jessie was gunning for Stephen and then kind of second-guessed herself. I think Stephen did a good job, actually, of kind of saying, I know you're going for me, but what about everyone else? And like I said, that was quite effective. And it was partly that, and also him deciding to switch to Fiona, that helped get Fiona out. Because without his vote and without Jessie's vote, actually, she still would have gone. Never mind. But I think I did start to turn the tide, and actually, Stephen was quite brave in that final vote, turning on Fiona. I mean, he kind of had to. But yeah, so Stephen has kind of been exonerated a little bit because there was the library group where Jessie was convinced that one of them was a traitor, and now they have revealed that Fiona was a traitor. But this shouldn't exonerate him, because, and I'm really hoping Jessie comes back and thinks about this, Jessie was also saying one of the traitors had to be in the cages for the trial. The only person who was both in the cages and in the library group was Stephen. So... And we know there's multiple traitors. There's always at least 3. They've got 2 out already. I really hope just the power of deduction would kind of point towards Stephen being guilty. But often in the game, people don't seem to think like that. I was saying about the family tree and also Paloma Faith's elimination in the Celebrity Traitors. Really, you should look at it like a crime scene. You should go motive, means, and opportunity. So with Paloma Faith, for example, Who would want to get rid of Paloma Faith? Well, potentially the person she's closest to, because then it's like a double bluff. It makes you look innocent. So that would point you towards Alan Carr. Means, who could get close enough to Paloma Faith to do a murder in plain sight? Well, Alan Carr would have the best means to do it. That's technically not really what means is it? But means is kind of more like the weapon and stuff like that. But actually that still points towards Alan Carr, because the means to do it, he could have poured her a drink very easily and it could have been poisoned. And the opportunity, who has an alibi for that situation, who was in a room with her at the time, that points towards Alan. So if you actually broke down these things by motive, means, opportunity, you would kind of start to work out who it could be and eliminate people. So like with the family tree thing, it could have been edited out, but you kind of go, wouldn't you all have a discussion about who has an opportunity to have done that? Who had a spare moment to have put the red marks on the family tree? And obviously Stephen, even though he was doing it to frame Maz, Stephen brought solid evidence. I saw Maz and I saw Roxy by the family tree. And all that happened was Maz got 1 vote from that. But that's solid evidence, rather than like, I feel like you changed after Claudia tapped your shoulder. That's not evidence. But people will get nervous. People will feel the pressure in the situation. Some people like myself would have like social anxiety. There's a lot of different reasons why you might suddenly start acting differently. Sometimes you can feel very excited when you first meet people, and then when you like bed in with them a little bit, you kind of lose a little bit of that initial excitement, and you might become more yourself, or you might retreat a little bit if you think there's a lot of confident people all of a sudden. There's a lot of reasons why you could change your demeanour, but actual solid who had an opportunity to put some red marks on a painting should be what you're following. That's actual evidence. Just like handwriting. Why are people not looking at handwriting more? It is kind of frustrating, but I can't remember what we're talking about. The family. What were we talking about? Sorry about this. I think we're going through the combined votes, weren't we? And why Stephen hasn't been chosen. So you could narrow down that Stephen was one of the trial people, and a traitor tends to put themselves in those situations because it makes them look innocent. It actually kind of makes you look more guilty, and I think Stephen realised that and regretted choosing himself. But who was in the trial group? Stephen. Who was in the library group? Stephen. That's a match. There you go. That's suspicious. Who had an opportunity to get to the family tree? Reese knew Stephen did, but never brought it up. Who knows why? So Stephen, he should still be in danger, but it does kind of look like they might turn their attention away from him. For now at least. Then at the bottom of the vote counts we have James and Adam still are tied on 2 votes each. That's from quite far back now. And Ellie has 1 vote, which is kind of interesting. So the people now with no votes, so these are your Hundies, your absolute faithfuls, supposedly. Faraz, he's fun. Harriet, who we need to talk about Harriet actually after this. Jack, Jesse, Matthew, Roxy, and interestingly, still with no votes despite everything that's happened, is Rachel. Could she be playing a good game here? Well, a lucky game, I would say. A lucky game. I think some of her strategies haven't been very well thought out. If I was her, I would not have spread that information about Amanda. I don't really see how much it benefits her, apart from coming across too confident, coming across like she keeps secrets from people before important round table decisions where she doesn't reveal that information. I don't see it, and I don't like how they handled putting their fingerprints on the family tree. I don't like how she handled getting rid of Ross, even though it worked. Yeah, but she might just look her way through. To be honest, at this point, it does feel like obviously we're heading towards a recruitment because the traitors are down to 2 people. I feel like the recruited player is going to stand the best chance now, rather than these two, because they have had suspicion on them, even though Rachel hasn't had any votes. But like I say, when it comes down to that fire pit at the end, you need people that are squeaky clean. And can they honestly say that Rachel is squeaky clean? And can they honestly say they can't say Stephen's squeaky clean? So I feel like the chances of them winning is low. They would have to turn the tables around quite dramatically at this point to win. So I think the recruited traitor, whoever it ends up being, obviously at the end of the episode, kind of seems like it's heading in a certain direction. Whoever the recruited traitor is, if there is a recruited traitor, I think stands the best chance here. Because there's a lot of people in the game who have had no votes, who I think come across as absolute faithfuls. I think Faraz would be brilliant. Jesse, I think, would be brilliant as a traitor and could win it. Harriet could win it. Interestingly, Harriet could win it as faithful and a traitor. So let's get on to Harriet. Like I say, the one thing that I always want is clever faithfuls and faithfuls that work out what's happening. And obviously we had Agatha Christie a couple of seasons ago, who was brilliant. We had, Nick Mohammed to a certain degree. We had Joe Marler. We've had some good people recently. But Harriet, oh my god, she's predicted Hugo completely accurately. She has predicted Fiona completely accurately, and at the end of this episode she said that Rachel is now her number one choice. So Harriet, in terms of a success record, I mean obviously stuff might get cut out, but Harriet, at least from what's edited into the show, she has had 100% success record on the Traitors this series. Incredible. You can tell, you can see that barrister experience in her. She's very, very good at like formulating points. She's brilliant. She's a great one to watch. And I think she's going to be a formidable force going forward. And I think what's brilliant about Harriet, and it's kind of like the perfect faithful play, is that she's incredibly astute. She's incredibly intelligent. She clearly possesses great like forensic skills at like working out a game. She's a murder mystery writer. That would really help. I think possibly even more so than the barrister thing, because then you can start to sort of see patterns in the game. She's got the perfect faithful game at this point, because she's on the money with everyone so far. So she knows, she's got a great eye for like catching who the traitors are, but she's standing back enough that she's not putting a target on her back. Someone like Amanda, she may have had previous experience as a detective, but even though she didn't reveal that to the group, she couldn't help herself with like trying to give people advice and coming across like someone who knows what she's talking about. That's an important distinction, by the way. I'm not saying she did know what she was talking about. I'm saying she came across intelligently, and that's actually dangerous as a faithful. If you come across too good at playing games, too intelligent, you're either going to get voted off because people think you're a game player, or you're going to get murdered by the traitors because you're too dangerous to them. So you need to be incredibly intelligent and on the money personally in your own head, but you can't reveal too much of that to the group, because as soon as you start revealing too much, if you are able to sway opinions, you will get either voted off or eliminated. So right now Harriet is playing a brilliant game, because she does kind of blend into the background a little bit, even though she's right and she's very clever. So if she can find a way to just subtly influence people's direction and people's voting over time, maybe gradually start sowing the seeds that Rachel is a traitor, but not doing it in front of Rachel's face like Fiona did. If she can just slowly put that seed of doubt into people's minds, get people on side who she thinks are 100% faithful, her hundies, gets Jesse on side, gets Jack on side, gets a few people like that, Faraz, starts subtly going, right, here's what I think. She could really influence this game moving forward. And like I said, I think she's definitely unlikely to get banished. And I think she's actually unlikely to get murdered. Because like I say, she's under the radar enough that they don't realise how clever she is. So yeah, she is playing the perfect faithful game, and it's great to watch. Yeah, so I kind of want to talk about the series in general, just briefly. It's kind of interesting. That last after show I did is like almost 3 times the amount of views I've had on any other one, which I would have expected to happen after the secret traitor reveal. But instead, it's happened after Fiona and Rachel's big fight. And I can see amongst people I know that it's excited people more than anything else. And it kind of makes you realise that, like, for the producers of the show, you can come up with these cool, fun gameplay twists. You know, you get to talk to a traitor. But really, that's not what excites the general audience. Like, what's exciting is just the drama, the personal drama. And I think what was so great about Fiona and Rachel is that you felt that personal, like, connection in there. They genuinely did not like each other in those moments. They might have been able to reconcile towards the end. I think Fiona voting for Sam instead of Rachel might have done a bit of good there. And I'm sure after the show they will, like, make up. But I think there was some genuine emotion there, which we don't often get on Traitors. And it's really, like, blown up in the public, like, consciousness. Like, everyone seems to have just loved that episode more than anything else. So it is interesting, you know, you can have these flashy twists, but really you need to pick interesting people that are gonna have tensions between each other and are gonna, like, you know, collide against each other, and that's what's actually exciting to watch. Yeah, so it's great, and I hope moving forward there's more of that. We'll have to see. So I guess we've got to talk about the end of the episode. The faithful were given an opportunity to speak to a traitor, and they were told, you can ask them a question, but they can lie. Which I was sat there thinking, like, what would I ask them? Like, I really couldn't think of something. You'd want to think of something clever, some kind of, like, riddle or something which would trip them up. I don't know what that would be. I'd love to think of something clever, but I just couldn't think of anything. And then it occurred to me, like, a few minutes before, I was like, oh, instead of asking them a question, you could effectively, like, pass on a message. And I thought you could ask to be recruited. If you wanted to be recruited, you could just put that on the table. And that's exactly what happened. So Matthew, we've seen him go up to the confessional booth. Which, by the way, the whole set dressing, the conceit, the premise of the whole thing, oh, brilliant. It's so dramatic. I love the confession booth, like, as a visual. It's very, very clever that the traitors are in there and they can't be seen. I don't understand why they're doing it like you face the confession booth. I thought you'd go into it. The whole point of a confession booth is, like, the person making the confessions on one side of it, and then there's a wall, and then there's the priest on the other side. It's kind of weird that they're not doing that. And it's also weird that I assumed there'd be, like, a voice changer or something involved, but they're just writing down the answers. Which, get that physical evidence. You've got someone handwriting there. You can start to work things out from that. Anyway, Matthew goes in, and he has this weird thing where he says he wants to gain trust first, so he asks them to murder Jessie. Which, I really hope they don't. Like I say, she's been a great player on this. She's both fun to watch and she's also right. So it's going to be really sad to lose her as a faithful, if that's what happens. We don't know. But he said, yeah, so can you murder Jessie? No. So, yeah, he started off by saying, who would you murder? And then they said Jessie. And then he said, okay, so if you murder Jessie, after you murder Jessie, I want you to recruit me. Like, the drama of it is brilliant. And and I imagine there will be repercussions from this. Will they follow him? Will they accept his deal? Will they not? I mean, they might as well say they'll accept the deal. Why not? Just for the fun of it. They don't have to like carry on with that. They don't have to see it through. And actually, they might like the idea that you, as the traitors, you accept the deal. You say to him, "Yeah, we'll do that for you," and then the next time you get to choose someone to murder, just murder someone else, and then just watch his face, because he's probably going to be annoyed, and you might be able to somehow manipulate that. I don't know. There must be something just to add confusion, to confuse everyone. Go for someone else, just to throw him off the scent a bit somehow. Or you do that, you murder someone else, and then you still recruit him anyway, and then it's like sending him a message like, we'll recruit you, but you're not dictating who we're going to kill, and then it kind of puts him in his place a little bit. It's interesting in terms of the recruitment, because like I say, he wouldn't be my choice if I was Stephen and Rachel. Like I say, from my point of view, I would go for someone who I think is flying under the radar. I don't like this thing of people recruiting someone as a sacrificial lamb. It seems to happen most of the time. The traitors, they never realise that the most powerful thing they have in the game is that they outnumber people, especially as you near the end of the game. Once you start getting down to like 12 people, 10 people, if you have 3 of you left in the game, you have a huge chunk of the voting power when it comes to the round tables. Now, I know you can't all vote for the same person too often, else it makes it look suspicious, but they never wield that power. They never think about it. They always recruit someone that they can just get rid of and say, oh, look, it's them, it's not us, which I get, but if you utilise the power you have in the game, the only thing you've got in the game is that you know who everyone is, you know who is a faithful and who's a traitor, but the other thing you have towards the end is that you outnumber them. You technically don't outnumber them, but you have a voting block where you can agree to work as a team in a way that the faithful can't, because the faithful don't know if they try and make an alliance with people, they don't know if one of those people in the alliance is a traitor. Whereas as the traitors, you know that your alliance is all traitors, and you're all working together. So you have a very powerful sway on the votes, and they never use that to their advantage. So I personally would rather recruit a traitor that I think is going to go all the way with us and going to potentially help us get to the final. So in that case, I would want to recruit maybe like Faraz. Definitely Jesse would be on my radar. Someone like Jack, potentially even Roxy. Someone who I think could go a long way. But they probably won't do that. And actually, Matthew probably is a good candidate. Actually, if you want a sacrificial lamb, Matthew might be a good candidate. He might be someone people are suspicious of. I mean, if you really, really wanted a sacrificial lamb, you would want Sam or Jade. So yeah, it's going to be interesting if that does sway their opinion and they appreciate the power play. We'll have to see. The other thing I'm really excited for in the next episode is, how does Harriet play this? What questions does she ask? Can she come up with something that's really clever that's going to catch them out somehow? Is she also going to be asked to be recruited? I've got a feeling she's going to come up with something good. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, exciting. Can't wait for next week now. It's not as good of a twist as some of her twists at this point. Normally, like midway through the series, we have like a really good cliffhanger. I believe last year, wasn't it the Death Game, where they had the cards? I think that was this point, wasn't it? And then I think the years before, that's when they tend to hint at reintroducing players who have been kicked off earlier in the game. Normally, there's a bit of a bigger twist than this, but it is still interesting, and I do still want to see how it pans out. But we will now talk about the big theory, the Orient Express theory, which we'll just have a quick break and then we'll get on to that. So, there's been a couple of running motifs throughout the series. One of them, which we've spoken about time and time again, is the family tree. After the first family connection was revealed, which was Roxy and Judy, we had explicitly left in the show in episode 2 is a conversation with Rachel and Amanda where Rachel says, I think there are at least 2 family connections. I really felt like this was hinting that there was going to be more family connections we don't know about. And I had a lot of theories about who that could be. Now, as the series has progressed, I've gone off thinking that is true, because a couple of the people that I believed were connected, Reese and Amanda, both of them have now left and we had no reveal. And Maz and Faraz have both left and we had no reveal. So it's not looking great for that theory. But the other running motif is there is a book that seems to be focused on a couple of times now, and I've begun to notice it, which is this Who's Who 1934 book. And a lot of people who mention this in the comments. Now, it's begun to make me think, what if the big twist of the series, the secret traitor, is a red herring, and actually the real twist is that everyone is connected. Now, people keep saying this time and time again, and it is incredibly silly, but I feel like there is some compelling evidence here. Normally, we have about 1 secret connection in the series. We've already had 2, so it's already been twice as many as usual. Actually, technically, we've had 3, which we'll get on to. And the way these have been handled has been very kind of matter of fact. Oh, Judy's my mum. Oh, Ross and Ellie are a couple. And it's not felt like earth-shattering twists like it has done before. Like Diane and Ross was just like, what? And obviously the breakfast moment in Series 1. They felt like huge earth-shattering twists in the game, and the ones this time have not. And is that because they're just not as interesting and the players have been voted off quite early? Maybe. Or have they been downplayed because there's more of them to come? Right. So how does this connect to the Who's Who book of 1934? Well, as someone in my comments has pointed out, the Murder on the Orient Express was published in 1934. That was written by Agatha Christie. Agatha Christie was a notable author, obviously, around that time. This Who's Who book is supposedly a book of notable people in 1934. Agatha Christie would most likely feature in that book. It's published by A.C. Black. A.C. Agatha Christie. Yeah, so at the very least, we have the year 1934. Why is 1934 there? Well, there is this interesting connection that Murder on the Orient Express was published in 1934. Now, Murder on the Orient Express is a murder mystery that takes place on the Orient Express. So it's a murder mystery that has a load of strangers on a train. Does that sound familiar? Like the beginning of Traitors by any chance? Why is Murder on the Orient Express a notable book for theorising? Well, spoilers, but the Murder on the Orient Express has a very big twist at the end of it, which is that you think that everyone on the train is a stranger to each other and they don't know the victim. But the twist of Murder on the Orient Express is they were all connected to the victim. Everyone on the train pretty much is connected to the victim, apart from Hercule Poirot, I never know how to pronounce it. I feel like that was actually quite good. Poirot, his sort of friend, I think he's called Buck, and I think it's like the physician, like the doctor or something that examines the body. So there's 3 people on the train that are not connected to the victim, to the murder, who were not in on it, and everyone else on the train is pretty much in on it, or it's at least suspected that they could be, because they're all connected to the victim. They all have a personal reason why they might want the victim dead. So we have a book that's potentially being hinted at that is about strangers on a train who actually all know each other. Now, why is that significant? Well, if we take a look at my little diagram here, we'll look at our first set of interesting people to talk about when we're talking about Murder on the Orient Express. So, these are people in the game that have been confirmed to know each other. We have Roxy and Judy, obviously mother and daughter. We have Ellie and Ross. Now, we've even seen a moment of those two when they were strangers on a train who actually knew each other. We also know that Nettie knew Ross. Now, this was, from their point of view, a complete coincidence. They didn't know they were coming into the game knowing each other. But the producers knew, because the producers have admitted they knew that they were following each other on social media, and they'd kind of thought, oh, well, we'll just see what happens. They've admitted that. So the producers knew they knew each other. So these are 5 people that were on the train who were supposedly strangers to begin with, who actually knew each other, and the production deliberately knew that they knew each other. So that's what we know to begin with. When it comes to the rest of the people, it's kind of harder to see some of the connections. But maybe people aren't connected by blood, but they're connected by other things, and this might come to light at some point. So there's some other interesting connections in the series. Normally, someone like Amanda has a very interesting secret job. She's a secret police detective. Normally there's only one person like that in a series, but in this series there was also Maz, a secret policeman. And then the other 2 interesting people are someone like Hugo. You would kind of think, well, actually, let's talk about Harriet. Harriet, she's a secret barrister. That's an interesting person. You would think there'd only be one of them. But then there's Hugo as well, who's also a barrister. So we have people that are connected by their field of work. This seems kind of strange that they've picked 2 of these people per series. You could have 1 of these people per series. Is there a deliberate choice to choose people that are connected by their field of work? 2 police officers and 2 barristers. So could we also have people that are connected by their profession? When we move on to the other connections, we of course have the traitors. There are 3 traitors, or at least to begin with, not anymore. Technically Hugo should have been here. I forgot to put Hugo in because he got eliminated so quickly. The traitors I would see as more of a Poirot kind of figure. They're connected to each other. They're like Poirot was connected to Buck and the physician, but they are not in on the connections. Maybe they're separate. They're connected by the fact that they're traitors, but that's it. We then have the people that I've been theorising are connected. So Matthew and Jack, really not sure about this one anymore. Matthew and Jack potentially being like brothers, potentially. Maz and Faraz being maybe father and son, although like I say, doesn't look like it anymore. Reese and Amanda, who I thought were going to be connected, and it's not looking too good on that either. But those are the other 2, the other players in the game who are connected potentially. Obviously it's not been revealed, but could it be revealed later on? These 6 people, I don't know how these people would connect to anyone else at all. And this is where the theory does kind of get let down. Ben in particular, I do not see how he connects to anyone else in the game. Obviously he's also been eliminated and there's not been a reveal, so it's really not looking good for Ben being connected to anyone else. But maybe there's something we don't know about, and maybe it's not necessarily a family connection. Maybe. I mean, maybe. I've seen people think that Adam might be related to Jack. I don't personally see that. I think Matthew and Jack are more facially similar than them two. I think someone said that they thought Jade was someone's daughter, but I don't know how like they think that. Some people I've seen think that Sam and Rachel might be related, might be like brother and sister. Again, I don't personally see that. But yeah, even if we don't talk about all the kind of theorised people, it is interesting how many connections there are that we know about. Roxy and Judy, Ellie, Ross and Nettie, Amanda and Maz having the same profession, Harriet and Hugo having the same profession. This doesn't happen this often with Traitors, not to this extent. So is there more happening? And the fact that it has been kind of downplayed a little bit, that those twists haven't been like focused on as much as the big twists of the series, that these people know each other and we didn't know about it. I do still feel like there is something more to come. We will find out at least one more connection. But like I say, is there subtle connections between everyone that we don't know about? And I think this will probably get highlighted at some point in a mission. I think they might be hinting towards a big mission at some point near the end, maybe, that's set on a train. The Celebrity Traitors did it in their final. I feel like maybe we're hinting that something like that could happen again. And maybe the Traitors have to murder in plain sight on a train, and then everyone else has to work out who did it. I feel like that's possible. And I feel like maybe as part of a mission, they might kind of say, we've put in some secret connections between people. Have you worked them out? If you work out 5 of the, like, whatever it would be, about 12 secret connections, 11 secret connections. If you can work out all 11 secret connections, we'll add 20 grand to the prize pot. I feel like that's not impossible, you know, because then they could work out, oh yeah, these two are connected by job, these two are connected by job, these two mother and daughter, these two are secretly dating. That feels possible to me in a way that I do know the theory in itself. Everyone's connected and it's Murder on the Orient Express and literally everyone is related to each other, everyone's dating each other. That's ridiculous. And I think the more people that are getting eliminated, the less likely that looks. It's looking really unlikely at the minute. Because like I say, some of my top picks have been eliminated and there's been no reveal. But that type of more subtle connection that's just been a bit of fun from the producers for a challenge, I think is possible. And they will say, yeah, try and work out as many secret connections as you can and we'll give you like 2 grand per secret connection. And maybe that there's a mission that is something like the Orient Express. That feels possible to me. So we'll wait and see on that. Yeah. Because producers, they do funny things sometimes when it comes to casting, just to kind of entertain themselves. There's a quiz show called The Chase, where the producers often pick people based on their names that kind of line up in a funny way. So they might all be people that sound like food items or something, or different types of curries. I don't know, like they'll spell out something. It'd be great if I had an example right now, but that kind of level where it's subtle, it's more subtle than everyone knows each other, everyone is blood related. That feels more possible. And like I say, we do have these clues that keep coming up. We have the Who's Who book, 1934. What does that mean? Does it mean this? Does it point towards Murder on the Orient Express? Because Agatha Christie, we've got a fiction, a murder mystery writer who's literally in the castle right now. There's a clear connection there to Agatha Christie. What does that mean? What's the family tree mean? What's the Latin mean? Don't trust your own blood. Is it literally Roxy and Judy? Even though that got revealed way back in episode 1. Who knows? But maybe we're leading towards something more subtle, like I say, like it's just a challenge or something. But it would be amazing, wouldn't it, if everyone was connected and that was a big reveal towards the end of the series. It's possible. Like I say, we have got a lot of people that are connected already. We've got 5 people that are definitely connected that the producers knew about, which is almost like getting on a quarter of the players. And then we have 4 people that are connected by profession that we know about. Is there something more going on with the rest of them? Probably not. But I do wonder if something like that could be happening. Let's see. And hopefully there's going to be way more to theorise on as we go forward, because like the secret traitor thing was so fun. The family connections thing's been fun, even if it's all wrong. Yeah, we'll wait and see. But thank you again for watching this episode. I'm kind of wondering about doing the US traitors as well. It'd be interesting to see if there's any interest for that. So maybe stick around if you're interested in US traitors, but I don't know. I'll make my mind up on that. I'll try watching the first 3 episodes because they've been released now, and then maybe decide. But if there's an interest there, then I will do it. But yeah, thank you for watching. What an amazing week. And yeah, it's been great seeing everyone react to the episodes as well. And that reaction from episode 5, it's just amazing, like talking to people about that. And yeah, hopefully there's still like massive things to come. So thanks again for watching this episode, and see you next week.